You're sitting in your living room right now. There's a couch under you, a roof over your head, maybe a cold drink on the table. You didn't build any of it. Someone drove a truck full of lumber to a site. A crane lifted steel beams into place. Power tools screamed through concrete. Machines did the impossible stuff so you never had to think about it. Now, rewind 4,500 years. There are no cranes, no trucks, no steel, no wheels, not even a simple pulley. And somehow, on the edge of the Sahara, a group of people stacked 2.3 million stone blocks into a near-perfect geometric shape that still stands today. Each block weighs more than a full-grown elephant. So the question is dead simple. Without machines, without engines, without any advanced technology at all, how did human beings build the pyramids? You probably picture thousands of slaves being whipped under the desert sun. That image is burned into pop culture. Hollywood loves it, but it's mostly fiction. In 1990, a tourist horse stumbled over a mud brick wall near the Giza Plateau. That accident led archaeologist Mark Lenner to uncover something stunning. A workers' village, right there in the shadow of the Great Pyramid. The graves told the real story. Workers were buried with honor. Their bones showed healed fractures. That means somebody set those bones. Somebody cared for these people. They found bakeries, breweries, fish processing facilities. These workers ate beef. In ancient Egypt, beef was a luxury. You didn't feed slaves prime cuts of meat. The truth? Most pyramid builders were seasonal laborers, farmers from the Nile Valley. Every year between July and November, the Nile flooded. Fields went underwater. Farming stopped. Tens of thousands of workers suddenly had nothing to do. So Egypt's pharaohs gave them something to do. They organized the largest construction project on the planet, and they paid for it. Think about that for a second. The pyramids weren't built by cruelty, they were built by logistics. And the Great Pyramid of Khufu at Giza contains roughly 2.3 million blocks of limestone. The whole structure weighs about 6 million tons. It rises 481 feet. For over 3,800 years, it was the tallest structure on Earth. Nothing humans built came close until Lincoln Cathedral in England in 1311 AD. So where did all that stone come from? Most of it came from right next door. The main body of the pyramid is local limestone. Quarries sat just a few hundred meters from the construction site. Workers cut trenches around blocks using copper chisels and wooden wedges. They'd hammer dry wood into cracks, then soak the wood with water. Wood expands when wet. Slowly, relentlessly, the stone split apart. No dynamite, no diamond-tipped saws, just water and patience. But the outer casing was different. Those gleaming white stones were Tura limestone, quarried from across the Nile about 8 miles away. And the interior chambers? Granite, hauled from Aswan over 500 miles to the south. Some of those granite blocks weigh 80 tons. So how do you move an 80-ton block 500 miles without a single engine? You use the river. The Nile was ancient Egypt's highway. In 2013, archaeologist Pierre Tallat discovered something extraordinary at Wadi al-Jarf on the Red Sea coast. Papyrus scrolls, actual ancient documents. They were the logbooks of a foreman named Merer. He recorded daily activities of his crew during the reign of Pharaoh Khufu. His logs describe transporting limestone blocks by boat through a network of canals right to the base of the pyramid. These are the oldest known papyri ever found, and they read like a shipping manifest. Mundane, practical, bureaucratic. No magic, no aliens, just men on boats doing their jobs. Once the stone reached the site, the real challenge started. Getting a 2-ton block from the ground to the top of a growing pyramid. This is where the debates get heated. For decades, the leading theory was simple ramps. Straight ramps rising from ground level to the working height. But there's a problem. A straight ramp to the top of the Great Pyramid would need to be over a mile long. It would contain more material than the pyramid itself. That makes no sense. French architect Jean-Pierre Houdin proposed in 2007 that the builders used an internal ramp, a corkscrew ramp spiraling up inside the pyramid walls. Microgravity surveys of the Great Pyramid have detected a spiral-shaped anomaly inside. Something is there. We just can't open the walls to prove it yet, but there's another method we know they used. Lubrication. A famous painting in the tomb of Jehutihotep, dated around 1900 BC, shows a large statue being dragged on a sled. And right at the front, a man pouring water onto the sand. For years, people thought this was ceremonial. Nope. In 2014, physicists at the University of Amsterdam proved it was engineering. Wet sand reduces friction by nearly 50%. The right amount of water makes sand stiff. A sled glides right over it. The ancient Egyptians figured this out 3,000 years before we published the physics paper explaining why it works. Now here's the part that truly bends your mind. Forget the stones for a moment. Think about the precision. The base of the Great Pyramid covers 13 acres. The four sides are aligned to true north within 1/15th of a degree. The base is level to within less than an inch across its entire footprint. You struggle to hang a picture frame straight. These people leveled 13 acres of bedrock with no laser, no GPS, and no spirit level. How? Water. Again, water. They likely carved shallow trenches around the base, filled them with water. Water always finds level. Then they cut the rock down to match the water line. Simple in concept, brutal in execution, perfect in result. And they measured using ropes and wooden stakes. A unit called the royal cubit, about 20.6 inches, was standardized across every work crew. Cubit rods have been found in tombs. They were precise to within a millimeter. Standardization. That's what made accuracy possible at this scale. Every team worked with the same measuring stick. Literally. Here's something else most people overlook. Organization. Building the Great Pyramid likely took around 20 years. At peak construction, an estimated 20,000 to 30,000 workers operated on site. They were divided into gangs of about 2,000. Each gang split into named groups. We know this because they graffitied the blocks. Seriously. Hidden inside the pyramid, archaeologists found painted names on stones. Friends of Khufu, Drunkards of Menkaure. These weren't miserable slaves. They had team pride. They had identity. They worked in 3-month rotations. Supply chains delivered food, tools, and water constantly. Copper chisels dulled fast against limestone. Thousands of them had to be resharpened or replaced every week. There were dedicated tool workshops on site. This was a city built to build a monument. The whole project required coordination that rivals modern construction management, except they tracked it all on papyrus, not software. They scheduled rotations by lunar calendar. They paid workers in bread, beer, and grain. There were even records of workers calling in sick. One set of attendance records from the later site of Deir el Medina lists absences. Sick, brewing beer, embalming mother, real people, real lives, real excuses. Think about that. 4,500 years ago, someone called in sick to pyramid building. So let's zoom out. What actually built the pyramids? Not alien technology, not lost civilizations with secret machines, not divine intervention, wet sand, copper chisels, wooden sledges, rope, water trenches, seasonal labor, bureaucratic geniuses with papyrus spreadsheets. But here's the real answer. The thing that built the pyramids was something you can't hold in your hand. It was collective human will, the ability to look at a flat desert and imagine a mountain that would last forever, then convince 30,000 people to make it real. Season after season, decade after decade, block after block, every single piece of the pyramid is simple. The tools are simple. The physics is simple. The materials are simple. But the coordination, the vision, the sheer relentless commitment to finishing what you started, across 20 years, through floods and heat and death, that's not simple. That's extraordinary. Your ancestors didn't need advanced technology. They were the technology. Their bodies, their brains, their ability to organize, cooperate, and endure. Every innovation they used, wet sand, water leveling, internal ramps, copper tools, was born from watching, thinking, and solving. No manual from the future, no instructions from the stars. Just human beings paying very close attention to how the world works. The desert came at them with impossible weight. They answered with water and sledges. It came at them with impossible distance. They answered with the Nile and boats. It came at them with impossible height. They answered with ramps and rotation. It came at them with impossible precision. They answered with trenches, ropes, and standardized measurement. Every problem had a solution. Every solution was elegant. And none of it required a single machine. So tonight, you're sitting in your living room again, your couch, your roof, your cold drink, Everything around you was built by machines you'll never see. And that's fine. That's the world you inherited. But somewhere under the Egyptian sun, a 4,500-year-old mountain of stone still stands. Built by hand, built by farmers in the off-season, built with beer breaks, team names, and the occasional sick day. And it will probably outlast everything in your house.